The galaxy is ever changing. New dangers always there. Yet the Kroot live. We survive. How? Because we adapt faster than the galaxy. Because we take from it that which will make all of us stronger. Nothing matters to us besides the Kroot. Kin come first. We care little for others, neither their judgment or their morals. We consume the dead because it makes us stronger. We fight for others because their payments make us powerful. While many races decline and rot and wither, Kroot are growing stronger. This is how we survive. Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here, and today we have the Into the Dark Kroot guide. That's right, it's a Kroot and a guide. I am the guide, they are the Kroot. Let's get straight into it. I'm going to tell you everything there is to know about this. We're going to start with an overview. We're going to talk about the operatives, whether or not you can actually build everything from one box. We're going to talk about the TacOps, the strat ploys, the ploys, the tac ploys, everything. What I'm not going to do is talk about the Navy. That's for something else. You want to know about the Gallowdark terrain? That's another video. There's a lot of videos coming out this week. Check them all out. In fact, I'm releasing so many, you're not going to get notifications for all of them, so check them all out. Let's start talking about the Farstalker Kinband. That's right, it's the Kroot. It's an 11 model team with 8 wounds, 5 up save. I've put the basic Kroot warrior stat line on screen for you. These guys rely quite heavily on their cover saves. That's because their special ability is that when they already get cover, they can double it up like a camo cloak if you're familiar with Compendium or some other teams. And instead of only retaining 1 save for cover, they can retain 2 saves or swap the 2 saves for a crit save. Very effective. If you've ever played against, for example, Wormblade, the special operatives in that have the same ability, makes them very durable. So you have to really catch them out of position to do some damage on them. I will say they're a very odd team. So they have very weak melee. You can see it on screen here. Standard and standard across the team, unless it's your melee specialist, you have a blade. It's only 3 attacks, 3 up, 3, 4. So 3 up, 3, 4 is the same as a Space Marine, but when you've only got 3 attacks, it's very, very swingy. Now there are ploys that interact with that, so there are ways to boost it, but they're not necessarily a melee team. They also are not necessarily a shooting team with only a 4 up BS. It means, you know, we see here the Kroot rifle, 4 attacks hitting on 4s, 3, 4. Now that's a bolter, except you're a 4 up, which means you're only actually hitting twice, and statistically, whoever you're shooting at, they're going to save 1 on the dice, and they're going to save 1 from cover. You gotta do some thinking. However, and we're about to find out why as we go through it, these guys have some real buffs and bonuses that make them amazing elite killers. They don't have huge amounts of AP throughout their list. That's not how these guys get through the elites. These guys have a variety of ways to get kind of buffs, mainly rerolls, but other things too, when it comes to individual models. And that's why they're great at taking out elite teams. Their archetypes are Recon, S&D, talk about them not at all, but we will talk about their faction TacOps. I put here weak faction TacOps. I don't think that's fair. I think some people are going to be able to get along with these very well. What I really mean is kind of medium faction TacOps. So for the average player, there are many TacOps where you'll look at them and say, I can get 1, but I'm never getting 2. And so, you know, we're going to see how that's going to pan out. Their ploys, when you should use them, very obvious. It's very clear when you want to use X or Y. We'll get into that in the ploys. And you can build all of the required models from just 1 box. Now, I would like to say, you know, that's kind of the overview. If you just want to know what they do, that's that. However, we're going to get into the real stuff now. But when I say now, what I mean is in about, you know, I don't know, a minute. Because the next slide is actually a subscriber-only slide. So check the bookmarks below. Jump to where you want to go. But skip the next one. Unless you're a subscriber. Because if you're a subscriber, I'd like to give you a big double hello. Wow. So wholesome. Let's cut the mumbo jumbo. We're talking Kroot today. We're talking their Farstalker Kinband. But I do have another channel called Full Scale Wargaming. Go check that out. It's all about War Machine and 40k. I have a Discord channel. I have a Vantage Point podcast. I have merch, which I'm wearing it today as well. Very subtle, very sexy. I also, if you like what I'm doing so much, you just want to give me money for some reason and support me emotionally, check out my Patreon. Let's talk about the Kroot Operatives and Abilities. There are 11 models, as discussed. They are, well, when you build them, you want to go all specialists. I think there is no reason to take a standard warrior. I think that's a pretty safe bet. The leader has different loadout options, which you won't always want to take the same one. And there are some real pros and cons to taking each one, which is great. You love to see that pros and cons. It means you can really put the roster to use and take out the correct loadout for the mission. Again, we're going to get into that when we actually see the leader. The Kroot Hound, the Gunner, and the Warriors all have options. So you could take 1 or 2 Kroot Hounds, or none, and then you can take 1 or 2 or none Warriors. And it's really deciding, do you want to stack up on the Kroot Hounds or the Warriors? Interesting. The Gunners, they have 2 options. You can only ever take 1. We will look at that later, not to worry. And as mentioned, the ability is you can retain extra saves in cover. The TacOps, now these are interesting. They have 3 of them, obviously. Butcher. Look, guys, you can go and look in the book. We've already done a Man Reads book. This is the breakdown. If you want the Man Reads book, go check it out. If you want to look at a page and figure it out for yourself, check out the Man Reads book. This is me telling you what it is. Butcher. Enemy drops meat on death. Pick up a quarter of the enemy number of team for 1 VP. So if the enemy have 6 models and you pick up 2 meat, is that right? Yes. Then you would get 1 VP. But then you'd pick up half of the enemy number for 2 VP. So if the enemy has 6 models and you pick up 3 meat, you score 2 VP. Again, really good against elite teams. Almost impossible against a 14-man team. Then have balanced the books. Max score 1 other TacOp and you get a VP. Max score 2 other TacOps and you get 2 VPs. Now this is an interesting one. Most people are going to be able to max score one secondary, 1 other TacOp. So you're kind of, I would argue, guaranteed 1 TacOp from this. But are you going to max 2 TacOps? That's a difficult one, because if you do, then you max 3 TacOps. So it's a pretty interesting one. It's very snowbally. I don't like it as a concept, but it's there. Then you have bounty hunters. The enemy selects an operative, and if you kill that operative, you get 1 VP. It will drop a token, and if you then pick up that token, you get a 2nd VP. Terrible. Again, pretty okay against an elite team because they have to get their operatives involved in the fight. They can't leave an operative out. But against a 14, 13, 12-man team, they can just say, okay, well, this is the bounty. He's going to sit on the back objective and never go anywhere near you. When it comes to the strat ploys, we have 4 of them. Cutthroats. Oh, these are all 1 CP. All the strat ploys, all the tac ploys, all 1 CP. So don't worry about 2 CPs. We have cutthroats. You get +1 to your melee attack dice. Max of 4. Now, if you look back at the Kroot Warrior, remember, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3, 4. It's the 3 attacks that makes them lame. For 1 CP, you can give all of your guys +1 attack to a maximum of 4. Now, your main melee guys are already 4 attacks. So, this is to make your worst guys perform acceptably. You have Farstalker. You can swap 3 order tokens. This is really good. I suspect this is going to be your play most, like 9 times out of 10, you're using Farstalker probably every turn, I think. You have Prey. Ranged weapons gain balanced and heavy. So, you know, kind of the opposite to Cutthroats. Cutthroats is, right, this turn, it's melee time. Everyone +1 melee. Then you have Prey, where you're like, okay, this team, I need to take a moment, sit back, everybody gets a good shot. Yeah. And then you get Bound. Ignore 2-inch, climb, drop, traverse, and you auto-pass jump test. Obviously, auto-passing jump test is clutch. However, ignoring 2-inch, climb, drop, and traverse is pretty good. Suddenly, with the Phobos, they have Vanguard, which is super useful. Everyone can pretty much attest to how useful this is. Now, will it be as useful in The Gallowdark terrain? Uncertain. But even so, traverse, very important. We then go to their TacPloys. So this is the ones that instead of using at the beginning of the round, you use when it says you use them. Mercenary Contract. Add a TacOps to the deck from archetype you didn't choose. So this is actually pretty cool. This means that it's quite possible to manipulate your TacOps deck to get exactly what you want, and not just, and like, you know, I think quite often some of the better players out there will wish they had a certain TacOps from another deck. This lets you take it. Really good, really good. You know, for the high-end competitive play. For the casual play, nah, take what you're given. But for the pro players, very nice. Slip away, full back for free. Fine, I guess. Poach, mission and pickup action for free, and you don't have to control the objective to perform those mission and pickup actions. So again, this is very situational and depends on the mission you're playing in, but potentially very useful. We get Vengeance for the Kinband. When an enemy kills one of your operatives, all of your operatives gain Relentless against that one operative that got the kill. And you have to kill that enemy operative before you can use this again. So again, we're seeing just how amazing your guys can suddenly become against one operative at a time. Super good. Okay, now when it comes to all of the data sheets, I have broken these down into 4 categories. Assault, Ranged, Tank, and Tech. What's that? ARTT. Art. That's right. This is the art of operatives. Off the top of my dome. Oh, this is amazing. I'm not editing any of this out. So the assault, they don't necessarily have to be people that want to melee. They have to be people that want to be up close. So this can obviously mean, for example, the pistolier here who wants to be within 6. He doesn't really want to be in melee. The ranged are the people that want to sit on the backfield objectives, not necessarily good at ranged, but they don't want to be up front. They want to sit back. We have the tanks, who are the guys that you want up front. Well, sorry, who are the guys that you want up front until your assaulters get in range. So they're there to tank some hits, you know. And then you get the tech. These are the guys that kind of just buff your guys or debuff the enemy, and they're doing weird things. They're messing, you know, comms sort of guys, medics. They're there to mess with the standard order of activations and, yeah, make things weird. But we start with Assault, which is super easy to figure out ones. We start with the Kroot Stalker. So, note the Kroot Scattergun, not a Kroot Rifle. That's right, interesting. This is essentially their shotgun. It's 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/3, range 6. It's not amazing, gonna be honest. But it lets you hit on 3s instead of 4s, unlike which is what the Kroot Rifle is. You then have the Stalker's Blade, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/4, balanced rending. Now, balanced rending is really nice, but you're 3 attacks. Let's keep reading. Stalker. This operative can perform a charge from Conceal. Stealth attack. A lot of words there. It's 2 APL. You must be on Conceal and within 1 inch of terrain. But then you get a free charge, but you don't get the extra 2 inches to that charge. And you get a free fight. And you get to resolve 2 hits before the enemy. Now that's the clutch here. That's what's... yeah, 2 hits before an enemy. With Balanced and Rending, you are very likely to do an automatic 8 damage before the enemy gets to do anything, which is actually super good. We then go to the Kroot Pistolier. Now, he's got a lot of words written here, doesn't he? A lot of words. Allow me to summarize. Quick draw. If you're shot, you can interrupt their shoot before they shoot you. Man. Crazy, right? That's why you want to be within 6 inches, and you still get your balanced and lethal 5 up. Yeah, okay, you're hitting on 4s. That's not amazing. That's why the Kroot aren't really that great at range. Balanced, gonna pull that right up to being a nice, essentially hitting on 3s. Lethal 5 up, very tasty. Now, what are you actually killing with that shot? Not a huge amount, but it's not the point. We then can, with Gunslinger Salvo, shoot twice. But you can only dash afterwards. You can't move and then gunslinger. Got to dash. But yeah, hey, shooting twice is pretty good. Can't argue with that. It's compatible with both piercing shot and toxin shot, because the dual Kroot pistols are something that can be given. Those are pieces of equipment that give you slightly different buffs depending on the situation. We'll look at them when we get to equipment. Then come to the Kroot Cutskin. This is our first real melee, guys, because you can see he's got attack 4. And then balanced lethal 5 up on his blades. Vicious. This is frankly our only legitimately good melee guy or assault guy without needing boosts from rerolls. Vicious duelist. Mortal wound if you parry. No, sorry. Mortal wound if you get parried. So for every dice in melee they discard of yours, you mortal wound them. Pretty niche, but if you consider how melee typically works in this means that you can almost consider that you're not doing 3-4 damage, you're almost doing 4-5 damage, which means you'll be putting a lot of 10 wound models into 2-hit range instead of 3-hit, which is interesting. Savage Assault, it costs 1 APL, and you fight twice if you don't get the kill on the first one, which is fine, I guess, yeah. Whatever. We then go on to the ranged ops. I think it's pretty obvious what we're doing here. As mentioned, not necessarily guys that are good at range, but they want to be away from the enemy and they're still kind of there to shoot. So we'll start with the Kroot Longsight. I covered up the abilities section because he doesn't have anything there. He just has the rogue ability, which is the camo cloak ability. The Honey Rifle is a classic sniper with 3 mortal wounds, except he's hitting on 3s, not 2s like other snipers. But honestly, you want those crits, so like whatever. Long Sight, his unique action there, is what's going to let you fish for those crits. It's 1 APL and you get lethal 5 up, and enemies are not obscured. Keep in mind that this is only removing obscurity, not heavy cover when on a vantage point or swapping your order to engage. This guy is a prime candidate for the +1 APL abilities, just to make sure you get a confirmed kill. We then go to the Kroot Heavy Gunner. Now this is an interesting model, right? Look at what he's got going on. Look at what he's got going on in his life there. So both guns have kind of, I've called it light heavy, because that's not at all confusing, but it's the word cumbersome. You can only move 6 inches when you shoot. So yeah, better than heavy, but you can't dash. You can only normal move, essentially. The Dvorgite Skinner is for close-up kills, because it's only got a 6-inch range. And if you can figure out how Torrent works, its AP2 might just make it outrageous. I think the Dvorgite Skinner is the go-to for Gallowdark, if I'm honest. I think that's going to be nuts. But who knows? Now, the Londaxi Tribalest has AP1 rending, which is obviously really good as well. But you're not looking at one-shotting a Marine with average dice rolling on the Tribalest there. And then if you're not in one-shot range, kind of like, well, maybe I'll go with the Skinner instead. Either way, you know, it's pretty clear. If you want him to be a long-range guy, you go with the Tribalest. If you want him to be up close and personal, you go for the Skinner. We then go to the second page of ranged ops and look at the Kroot Bowhunter. This is a guy I really like. In my opinion, he's our real sniper. The other guy is like a sniper, but he's not, you know. This guy's got cool different arrows he can load, and that's kind of sniperish to me. We start with the Voltaic arrow, and it is the GOAT, frankly. Whenever there's any possibility of hitting more than one model, that is. Splash is amazing. I love Splash. I think Splash is the strongest keyword in the game. Because don't forget, you know, Splash hits for every crit. It's 2 mortal wounds in this case, because it's Splash 2, to the model you're hitting, which is why your crit damage is only 2, because if you get a crit, it will become 4 damage. But also to everybody else within an inch, which is super good. Super good. Glide arrow is when you want to be concealed, as it has silence, obviously, and fused is your single kill option. You just got one elite there. It's got the AP1. Go for it. Why not? Why not? And 4-5 damage, still pretty good, I gotta say. We then go to the Kroot Coldblood. Now he's got 9 wounds, right? And he's got Hardy, which means he can't be crit ever, which is crazy, right? He can't be crit. The crit becomes normal damage. It's pretty cool, and it does make him a possibility for the tank role, but that slide was full, and I'm going to be honest, well stocked makes him very versatile in shooting. I'm going to again cover piercing shot and toxic shot when we get to equipment though, but keep in mind he gets 2 shots with both of those. That's toxin shot and piercing shot. He's just a decent model. He's going to hang around a bit longer than most others, but he's just a normal warrior essentially, except with 1 better ballistic skill. And now we get to the TacOps. Now for the tanks, these are the guys that are built to take the hits for you. Normally that would mean they've got a shield, they've got a better save, they've got more wounds, they've got a feel no pain. However, due to the fact that you want the cold blood to hang around and shoot people, you kind of have to put your chaff up front as the tanks. Not ideal, because they are obviously going to die a little bit, right? Yes, but better than anything useful, because honestly everything else has a little niche that it is going to be useful to use it in, and you don't want them dying, so instead you want to put up your Kroot Hounds, your Kroot Warriors. Let's start with the Kroot Hound. I'm sure everybody's dying to know what they do. So this beast, yes, the beast keyword, sorry, means he can't perform mission actions or take equipment. It's fine. Now Gather, we'll get to Bad Tempered in a moment, don't worry. But Gather is a unique action. It's 1 APL. Dash, fullback, move, perform pickup along the way. So if you're doing a dash, fullback, or move, you can pick something up as you're going. So you move, perform pickup action, continue going, just for 1 AP. Actually, pretty nice. Like, to the point that you probably don't want this guy to be a tank. Like, this is probably, really, an assault model, but you don't really want him to be in melee, because you want him to perform Gather. Obviously, situational, you don't always need to use these things. And when you don't need to perform those useful things, then actually, yeah, he can be your tank, because he will tank some things. We then get Bad Tempered. So if in melee, along with another friendly operative, you can intercept the attack, like a town drone with Savior protocols. If you're within 3 inches of a friendly operative that gets charged, this operative gets a free charge action into that fight. It feels like it should be a bit of an interrupt, but it isn't. It's not worded to work as an interrupt, and that's fine. So I guess you would do a free charge, fight, and then Gather as a fallback. I guess. I don't know. If you can get Rogue to go off, though, even 8 wounds could be very durable, especially with new close quarters rules. So, yeah. Sorry, if you didn't get that, Rogue is your ability that's like a camo cloak. I realised I hadn't called that the word Rogue when we began. We then go on to the tech operatives. I think a lot of people have seen the Kroot tracker, obviously in the Warcom article, but we haven't really seen the kill broker, who is our leader. So let's talk about the leader first. Call the kill. Again, I'm trying to summarize these for you. Call the kill. All operatives retain a hit when making an attack against visible enemies. So you call out a dude, and then everyone that shoots that dude auto retains a hit. That's good. Auto retain a hit. Nuts. You also then get Photon Grenade. It's 1 APL, and you have to roll a 2 up unless you're outside of line of sight or over 6 inches. Then it's -1 or to your dice roll for every one of those. And then the enemy will be suffering -2 inch movement. They can't dash, and to perform this you must have the carbine equipped, because do note, you can take a Kroot rifle, a pulse carbine, or a pulse rifle. For all of these options, you could take a blade. So when looking at them, we can tell that between the pulse carbine and the pulse rifle is just straight up better, as it's a 4-5 damage. However, the trade-off is that you won't be able to use photon grenade. The Kroot rifle is better than the other two because it hits on 3s instead of 4s, which does mean that it makes it a little bit less spiky with the damage. Blade, again, 3 attacks. You got. If you want to melee with this team, you have to boost them, but they're hitting on 2s, 3, 4, which is pretty nice. Yeah, there you go. Oh right, and then the Kroot tracker, of course. Now again, we've seen this on Warcom, so we kind of know what it does already. The Pek Ra. It's an independent bird token that flies around with 6 inches of movement. There you go. It deploys alongside this guy, and then it just does its own thing. Marked for the hunt is 1 APL. Select an enemy within 6 inches of the bird token, and when you shoot that operative, they can't use light cover. Nice. And from the eye above 1 APL, friendly operative gets +1 APL. So this guy's kind of your comms as well as your Auspex, essentially. So pretty cool. Oh, and look at that. We're done. We're on to equipment. Wow. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 options. First up, we have the Quill Grenade. This is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 2/3 damage, blast 2. Generally, you're always going to take a grenade. Even in Gallowdark, can be useful. This is just a pretty standard frag grenade, but it's called a Quill Grenade. These days, we can only take 1, so it doesn't matter. We then get Piercing Shot and Toxin Shot. These are the 2 shots that were mentioned earlier. I think it was on the Cold Blood. I can't remember. Piercing Shot costs 2 EP. It gives your gun AP1. That's it. It just gives your gun AP1. You can only use it once. It's pretty good, isn't it? 2 EP. You get AP1 for a turn. Amazing against elites. Or you can go Toxin Shot. Now it makes your gun 2/2 instead of 3/4, but you get lethal 5+ and stun. Honestly, I'm not quite sure when I would be using Toxin Shot. Lethal 5+ and stun are both nice at times, but pretty situational. Whereas Piercing Shot, I mean, you can always use AP1, right? We then have Meat for 3 EP. You can only use it once, and you heal D3 +1. Nice. We get Trophy, 4 EP. You can only use it once, and it gives whoever has it +1 APL. Now that's pretty nice, right? I mean, it's 4 EP, which is really expensive. But just being able to say this guy gets +1 APL, honestly, I think... I'll talk about it in a moment. Sorry, let's finish this list first. Ritual Blade, 2 EP, leader only, makes your blade 4/5 instead of 3/4. Pretty good, honestly. You're still only 3 attacks, though. I don't know. Right? And then finally, Kroot Pistol, 1 EP. It's a Kroot rifle, but it's 6-inch range. This is the kind of thing that you can put on... I think it's the cut skin that doesn't have a gun, so he could totally just take a Kroot Pistol. There you go. Now, out of all of these, I think that your real go-tos are actually, hate to be that guy, but 2 trophies and 1 piercing shot. Although, having just said that, I'm positive that trophy is a 1 take. There's no way you could take more of those. I haven't listed it here, but I'm sure, just looking at it, you can only take 1 trophy. So probably a trophy and then a bunch of piercing shot. I suppose you could take a Quill Grenade, but I really like piercing shot, if you can't tell. Okay, and that's it. How simple was that, guys? A nice quick rundown for the Kroot team. I don't know if there's really much more to say, to be honest with you. That's all of them. Pretty simple team, pretty easy to handle. Once you figure out what does what, very all-rounders, but they suck at what they do unless you know the whole team's going to do it and you boost them, in which case you're okay at what you do, but you can definitely kill one thing, right? Like, you have a lot of ways to make one thing die very easily. I'll be very interested to see how they turn out. I would probably rank them... if I had to be honest, I would say they're probably mid to low tier. Sorry, they are on the lower side of mid tier, if I had to guess, like power strength wise. I don't think they're low tier, I think they're just middle. Although, you know what, honestly, I'm going to say it, apart from a few real standouts at the top, the power curve in Kill Team is really solid. To say that they're low tier, just nah, they're going to be just fine. A good player will be able to do good things with them, and that's a real benefit, like a real feather in the cap of Kill Team in general. But of course, you've seen the slide. That's right. If you've made it to the end of the video, I'd like to give you a big triple hello. Wow. So Hosemo? Yeah, sure. Why not? Guys, if you made it to the end of the video, honestly, thank you so much. That's really the best way to reward a fledgling YouTuber like myself. So thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed the triple hello. It's the least I can give you. And hey, do continue to consider checking out Full Scale Wargaming, my 40k and War Machine channel, my Vantage Point podcast if you want some more Kill Team, my Kill Team Discord if you want some more Kill Team, I guess. My merch, because it's hot stuff. And if you really like it, consider checking out my thing. Patreon, that's the word. Honestly, guys, also, final note, going to say it again. I've done so many videos this week for Into the Dark. Guaranteed you will not have received all of the notifications. So check out my channel for Into the Dark and Annual, because that's dropping on the same day. Videos that you may have missed. Okay, everybody, this has been Glass Half Dead. I hope you've had a good day and continue to have a good day. Goodbye.